Hello and welcome to Karen's Piano Blog. Focus on public domain music teaching repertoire. Today's piece is called Etude in C major. It is by Berens and is not one that has typically been put into conservatory books, but is part of a collection called 50 Piano Pieces for Beginners. It is Opus 70, and as the title says, there's going to be 50 of these. I'm going to highlight just one of them today, number 9. It is a delightful little piece in 3/8 time, 2 treble clefs, so the children get an opportunity to take their left hand into the treble clef with a set of notes in the left hand that is securely in a single position. As a matter of fact, both hands don't have to move out of position. So this is a great piece for teaching students to transpose using pentascale positions. You'll see on my PDF that is easily downloadable below that I have written it out in D major. Students at a later grade, for instance in grade 4, 5, and 6, you can actually pull it out and put it up and ask them to transpose it to F major or G major, which are also common keys for these types of studies. Students who are taking their rudiments with you, if they are not comfortable doing it by sight, and we're hoping that we'll gradually work them towards that, they can actually have this as an exercise for transposing as part of rudiments, where they are transposing something for themselves to play. This is going to be connecting our dots between theory and piano. So one of the reasons that I consider this a delightful little piece is that we have so much that we can learn, and yet it is short, so the children keep a positive attitude about it. I would label this as a good grade 2 etude. I feel that the balance between the hands is a little bit beyond the grade 1, but that it is not long enough to be a grade 3. This is a fabulous preparation for our grade 3 sonatinas, where the children will be having a patterned style left hand that often has more notes than the right hand melody does, and yet it must stay soft. It's a wonderful piece for teaching children to change broken triad bass lines into solid triads so that they understand what the chords are they're playing. And students at the grade 5 and 6 level who are learning to do their root quality symbols in rudiments can easily apply them and see that that's C, 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 G7 over D, G7 over D, C over E, G over D. Your first line really is based on the C chord and the G7 chord. And then when we look at the second line, there's not much more change. C, 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 G7 over D, D minor over F. Well, let's look at that D minor over F. If we call it D minor over F, we are trying to tell our students, first of all, that the dominant chord in measure 13 can move to a 2 chord. In harmony at the grade 9 and 10 level, we learn that the 5 does not go to a 2 unless we're in a sequence. So even though it clearly looks like D minor over F, because we have already heard the G7 chord in the previous bar, this actually will be the G7 over F, and measure 15 will be the C over E going to C. This prepares the students to learn that 5, 4, 2 goes to 1, 6, and what a good progression is. It also teaches everybody that we need to have a cadence, and a good one at the end of a piece. So now that we've actually had a look at that, we have opportunities to circle tonics and dominants in here, which is wonderful for the children to reinforce what they're learning in their theory. With regards to the phrasing that I've marked on, I hear this in 8 measure phrases. That does not mean that you have to restrict yourself to that. You can actually try this in 4-bar phrases and see what you think. I put on the dynamic markings that I feel. The original has no dynamic markings or phrasing on it at all. There is no tempo marking on Berens' original. I personally think that this can go as a nice allegretto, perhaps even an allegro with the correct student, and that they should be taught to be playing it very smoothly. So pedagogical elements that we are trying to achieve out of this short little etude is a good balance between melody and accompaniment, a shaped melody where they are thinking in the grand scheme of things across, for me, 8 measures. Now here with my dynamics, you can see that I've got crescendos and decrescendos, and my phrase 2 is shown as having the same shape, but at less dynamic level. This means that the children have to learn how to crescendo gently, which is what we need in our sonatinas. The MP is just going to crescendo to the MF, and the best thing to do is to have the count 1 of measure 5 and count 1 of measure 13 be slightly stressed so that we hear the 4+4 division and we have a natural start to the decrescendo that is the second half of the phrase. This piece is also wonderful for helping students to learn that repeated notes in a smooth melody need not to be staccato, because a lot of students will try to actually play short, join short, join short, and they'll actually be staccatoing all of their quarter notes, which is not what the music is suggesting. But this is a hard thing for children to learn, and it is something that they will find beneficial in their future as we encounter repeated notes that are not marked staccato and need to have a songful ability with them. This is a great place to start talking about cantabile tone with your students and playing up on a slightly flattened tip so that they have more of their pad in contact with the key. Relaxation of the wrist is an important thing. It is a fabulous, fabulous idea to go back to the solid triad left hand periodically, where the children are just working on the shape of the right hand melody. At the same time, they're thinking about those repeated notes while having fewer notes in the left hand. I prefer this to playing hands separately, where balance is no longer part of their process. Thinking about balance at the same time as a gentle shape is a challenge for many youngsters. And by divorcing this and taking it hands separately, we are not using our time as efficiently, and we could be extending the length of time that it takes to learn this piece. How long would it take a grade 2 to learn this piece? The notes themselves for a visual reader could be learned in 1 week. For a non-visual reader, going for 2 weeks and or responding to how they feel comfortable is something that you would need to do. The musicality itself, most people will take another 2 to 4 weeks on. Notice that on my particular presentation, I have transposed it to D major. I encourage this particular study to be revisited ahead of sonatinas, especially if they're in 3 count time, and if they're in 3/8 time, even better, and transposed to the key that they are about to be learning that sonatina in. This can become a preparatory exercise for many, many sonatinas to come, and for students that might transfer to you at a later grade where you don't know what their background is. This is a fabulous thing for even all the way up to grade 8 to do, so that it's a quick learn. At that point, they should be able to sight read this and then work for a couple of weeks on the musicality and balance so that you know that's in place before you attack that first classical piece. So have fun with this. Enjoy having a nice short piece that teaches so much to our grade 2 students. Thank you for joining me today.